Hey, how's everybody doing? Okay, so you guys know I'm Miss Comer, so I'm going to go through this part with you so that if you get stuck on a part, you're trying to make some decisions, you're trying to cross-examine some things, this will be there to help you. Car goals. All right, so remember, our goals and objectives. Students, you will learn how to analyze paycheck data, evaluate car-related expenses, and design a realistic 3-month savings plan for a major purchase. Of course, we have to have all of our TEKs, so make sure that if you are doing your TEK tracker, you go ahead and mark these off so that when I give you your grades, you can plug these in. Your final assessment is where you will choose a fictitious job and a car from the provided list. Then you will create a detailed savings plan that includes paycheck analysis, budgeting, and justification for your financial decision. The final plan will be presented in written or visual format. I gave you guys the option because I know some people do really good with video, some people do really good with voiceover, and some people I would just much rather write a paper. No matter what, you're going to have to do all of the background things that I'm doing with you here today. So, I'm going to use Jordan. Jordan is not real, he is AI generated. But Jordan is a high school student who's ready to level up and get his first car. You guys are in 8th grade. Y'all all want cars. Trust me, we've talked about the fact that all of you guys want cars. But Jordan here, he's been offered 2 jobs, and he's also applied for a third, and he needs to choose the best one based on the money that he will earn, the schedule, and the benefits. Remember, he's in high school. You can't miss school because you need to work. Once he's hired, he's going to get his first paycheck, and there's more to it than just getting paid. So we're going to make sure that we understand and process that gross versus net income. Then Jordan wants to buy a car, but we need to look at his expenses, his bills, and his options for cars. And then finally, he'll have a savings plan. I'm going to use the example of Jordan. I've already pulled a couple of things from the job board. I've already pulled a couple of cars from our car lot. What you guys will be able to do is to physically go up to the different boards in our classroom, and you're going to pick a few different jobs, and you're going to read the description on the back. I want you guys to pick the job based on some of the same criteria that we're going to look at here with Jordan. This will just kind of help you process and how I want you guys to think through making some of these decisions, so when you get to the actual savings plan piece, it all makes sense for you. So let's look at Jordan's job offers. So the smoothie spot. But with this one, it's 15 hours per week. He's going to have to work every day after school from 3:30 to 6:30. And the pay is about $11.25 an hour. I would ask you guys, what's his weekly gross pay? And I would love for someone to tell me let's do 5 gopher bucks. If you can tell me what gross pay is versus net pay. When we're looking at the gross pay, we want to multiply these two numbers. So $11.25 an hour times 15 hours a week, we have $168.75 is what he'll make every single week as at the smoothie spot. So we want to apply this same principle to all of these, because remember, you're going to have to pick at least 2 job postings and at least 2 cars. So on the stock clerk, we have 20 hours times $13.50, and he will make $270 a week in gross pay. And then at the rec center assistant, we're going to go with $15 an hour times 10 hours a week. So we're looking at $150. Now, it's easy to look at these numbers and say, let's go with the stock clerk, right? He's going to make more money, which sounds great. We all want to make more money. But just remember, he's going to have to work every single weekend from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. So these are also things that we are processing as we're making our decisions. If you had to work somewhere every single weekend to make $300 a week, maybe you should go with the smoothie spot, because it's only after school and you get your weekends free. Maybe you can pick up extra hours on the weekend if you want, but that can be a lot right there. Then if we're looking at the rec center assistant, It's only Tuesdays and Thursdays, but it's from 4 to 9. What if, like you guys know, for us, when we play basketball or when we have games and stuff, they're on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So if he plays a sport, he wouldn't be able to take this job at all. So I want you guys to think about all of these things when you're making these decisions. Because even the smoothie spot is every single day. The other thing that you guys also have to consider is that when you're working on the planning sheet, you're going to have to fill this information out. I am going to go with the stock clerk because, see, me in high school, I didn't do a lot on weekends, but I was very, very busy during the week. Every single week, I had theater, I had sports and stuff during the week, and on the weekends, they were pretty much just my family time, and I'm not going to lie, y'all. I, in high school, was willing to give up some family time to get a car. We're going to go with the stock clerk where he's making $270 per week. When you get your check stub, I want you guys to pay attention to a couple of things. You should already know the difference between gross and net income, but we also need to review how to read the check stub. So this one right here, this is our pay period. This is going to tell you if your person is getting paid weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, semi-monthly. Like me working at the school district as a teacher, I get paid once a month on the 20th of every month. But when I worked as a classroom assistant or like a teaching assistant, I got paid bi-monthly, which was on the 3rd and the 18th. It is obviously important to pay attention to the pay date, but also the pay period. What dates is this covering? Jordan gets paid bi-weekly. All right, so he's going to see this money roughly 2 times a month. His gross pay is $540. Remember that 40 hours is split over 2 weeks. So when we go back to our job offers, he's got the 20 hours and this is a paycheck for 2 weeks. So he's making $540. The other thing that we have to pay attention to is this little area right here. All of these things right here are called our deductions. It's not, luckily, we live in Texas, so they don't take any state taxes out of your check. But you do have to pay things like your Medicare and you pay into Social Security. So it's important to pay attention how much these things total up to be. It's going to be right here under deductions, right? And then his net pay. This is how much he brings home. Now that we have all of this information, I want you guys to go back to your planning sheet because we're kind of done with part 1 and a little bit of the part 2 of the planning sheet. The job pay, we said that we're going to go with the stock clerk. So I'm going to put that in here. His hourly rate is the $13.50. Hours worked, but it says per month on here because remember, we're doing a savings plan, but it's based on how much we're going to save per month, not just per check. So if I know that Jordan is working 20 hours a week, roughly there's 4 weeks in a month. So 20 times 4, I'm going to pop in 80. His gross pay on my check stub, I know what my gross pay is. It's going to be that $540. So I'm going to put in $540. And my net pay, remember this is the final number, the amount that's going to hit your bank account or that's going to be on your actual check, is going to be $498.69. Now, so far, I don't have any information that Jordan has secondary income, so I'm using this just to kind of set up my planning sheet based on the information I've been given and that I've identified. All right, so now we're going to go into the budget breakdown. When we're looking at the budget breakdown, I have in here how much I'm getting, but I also see that Jordan cuts grass and he makes $100 every single week cutting grass. I'm going to go back into my planning sheet and put his additional income, and I'm going to put cutting grass. There's no hourly rate, but he makes $100 per week, which again, we're basing it off of the 4-week month. Then we're going to say that he makes $400 per month. His gross pay is $400. And then his net pay is $400 because he's probably getting paid cash. Based on all of this, we now see how much he's making. So I just want to see right now. Oh, I made a mistake. Can anybody tell me what the mistake is that I made? Right here, I put in here the gross pay, which is the gross pay is $540, the net pay is $498.69, right? But that was based on this check stub that only had 40 hours. I need to double these numbers to see how much he's going to bring home per month. So 540 is going to be 1,080, and then 498.69 is going to be 997.38. This is my income. So I just want to total this up. And remember, we're in Excel, or if you're using Google Sheets, the formula is the exact same. So I'm going to put SUM for the sum, put the parentheses, and I'm going to select both of these, close parentheses. This gives me my total right here that tells me, okay, every single month, this is how much money that Jordan makes. So don't forget, now that we've kind of closed out this section, to answer, what made you choose this job from the job board? I want you to put this in here, use as much detail, add as much space as you need, because this is going to set you up for answering all of the prompts that you're going to have in your final presentation.